Evelyn Harper's world shattered on a rainy Tuesday morning when the eviction notice became a brutal reality. At 94, with hands trembling from arthritis and a heart heavy with memories of a life once full, she stood on the cracked sidewalk as burly men hauled her meager belongings out of the only home she'd known for 50 years. The rain soaked through her thin coat, mingling with tears she refused to let fall, as neighbors whispered from behind curtains, too afraid or indifferent to intervene. But Evelyn wasn't just any widow. She was a survivor forged in the fires of the Great Depression, World War II, and the loss of her beloved husband, Thomas, to cancer 3 decades ago. In that moment of utter despair, as the landlord's assistant handed her a final warning with a smirk, something ignited within her, a spark of defiance that had lain dormant for years. She clutched her worn Bible, the one Thomas had given her on their wedding day, and whispered to herself, "This isn't the end. It's the beginning of something they won't see coming." The city of Eldridge, a sprawling metropolis where skyscrapers cast long shadows over forgotten neighborhoods, had changed dramatically since Evelyn first arrived as a young bride. Back then, it was a place of promise, where hard work meant security. Now, gentrification had swept through like a relentless tide, pushing out the elderly and the poor to make way for luxury condos and trendy cafes. Evelyn's apartment building, once a haven for working-class families, was slated for demolition, its residents discarded like yesterday's news. Evelyn had paid her rent faithfully every month, scraping by on a meager Social Security check and occasional odd jobs like mending clothes for neighbors. But when the new owners jacked up the rent by 50%, she couldn't keep up. Appeals to the housing authority fell on deaf ears. The law favored property developers, with loopholes that allowed evictions without mercy. As she gathered her soaked boxes filled with faded photographs, a few cherished books, and the quilt she'd sewn from Thomas's old shirts, she felt the weight of injustice pressing down. That night, Evelyn found shelter in a rundown motel on the city's edge, paid for with her last savings. Sleep eluded her as memories flooded in. Thomas's laughter echoing in their tiny kitchen, the birth of their only child who had passed away young from illness, and the quiet evenings spent knitting by the window. But amid the sorrow, a plan began to form. She recalled stories from her youth about ordinary people rising up against unfair laws, like the civil rights marches she'd witnessed on television. If not me, then who? She thought, her resolve hardening. The next morning, Evelyn made her way to the local library, her steps slow but determined. The librarian, a kind young woman named Maria, noticed the elderly lady's disheveled appearance and offered a chair. Evelyn poured out her story, her voice cracking with emotion. Maria, moved by the tale, helped her access a computer, Evelyn's first time using one. Together, they researched tenant rights, discovering a grassroots organization called Elders United, fighting for affordable housing. Evelyn attended her first meeting that afternoon, hobbling into a community center filled with seniors sharing similar horrors. There was Harold, a veteran evicted after a medical bill wiped out his savings. Lila, a former teacher now homeless. And dozens more, their faces etched with lines of hardship. As Evelyn spoke, her words resonated. "I've lived through wars and losses, but this being thrown out like trash at my age is the cruelest blow. We must fight back, not just for ourselves, but for those who come after." The group rallied around her, electing her as their spokesperson. Evelyn's quiet dignity and unyielding spirit inspired them. They brainstormed strategies, petitions, protests, and lobbying city council. Evelyn, drawing on her sewing skills, even suggested making banners from old fabrics. As the meeting ended, she felt a warmth she hadn't known since Thomas's Pasinga sense of purpose, of belonging. But challenges loomed. The city council was dominated by developers' allies, and media coverage was scarce. Evelyn's health faltered, her arthritis flared in the cold motel room, and loneliness gnawed at her. One evening, as she sorted through her boxes, she found an old letter from Thomas. "My dear Evie, strength isn't in muscles, but in the heart that refuses to break." Tears flowed freely then, fueling her fire. Weeks turned into a blur of activity. Evelyn led small protests outside her former building, holding signs that read, "Homes for humans, not profits." Passers-by stopped, some offering donations, others sharing stories. A local reporter, intrigued by the 94-year-old rebel, interviewed her. The article went viral on social media, drawing attention from across the city. Yet, doubt crept in. The developers fought back with legal threats, and some group members dropped out, intimidated. Evelyn pressed on, visiting council members' offices, her voice steady despite the pain. "I've outlived dictators and depressions," she'd say. "I won't be silenced by greed." In a twist that caught everyone off guard, a young lawyer named Alex Rivera appeared at a meeting. He was the grandson of Evelyn's childhood friend, discovered through the viral article. Alex, fresh out of law school and idealistic, offered pro bono help. "Grandma told stories about you, Mrs. Harper," he said, eyes shining. "You're a legend. Let me fight with you." Alex uncovered a loophole in the eviction laws, a forgotten clause allowing seniors over 90 to appeal based on historical residency. This revelation shifted the momentum, providing legal ammunition. Evelyn's story now had teeth, and the group swelled with new members, including young activists inspired by her tenacity. As the first file of her journey drew to a close, Evelyn stood taller, her spirit unbroken. The city was beginning to listen, but the real battle lay ahead. With Alex by her side, Evelyn's campaign gained structure and speed. He drafted petitions citing the overlooked residency clause, gathering thousands of signatures through online drives and street canvassing. Evelyn, though frail, became the face of the movement, her wrinkled hands clutching microphones at rallies, her voice carrying the weight of generations. "This isn't just about me," she'd declare, eyes fierce. "It's about dignity for every elder who's ever been forgotten." The media frenzy intensified. National outlets picked up the story, dubbing Evelyn the unyielding widow. Donations poured in, allowing her to move to a modest senior home temporarily. There, she met Clara, an 82-year-old former nurse with a sharp wit and a hidden talent for organizing. Clara joined the cause, bringing medical knowledge to highlight how evictions exacerbated health issues among the elderly. But opposition mounted. The developers, led by tycoon Victor Lang, launched a smear campaign, painting Evelyn as a freeloader resisting progress. Anonymous threats arrived at the community center, and one night, vandals defaced their banners. Evelyn's heart ached, but she drew strength from Thomas's memory. "Adversity reveals character, my love." In the midst of this turmoil, a surprising ally emerged, a twist that reframed everything. Mayor Elena Torres, once a rising star backed by developers, attended a rally incognito. Moved by Evelyn's speech, she revealed herself afterward. "My own grandmother faced eviction years ago," the mayor confessed, tears in her eyes. "I entered politics to prevent that, but I've lost my way. Let me help." Elena's involvement was a game-changer. She provided insider access to council meetings and leaked documents showing corruption in housing approvals. The group used this to build a stronger case, exposing how laws favored the wealthy. Evelyn and Elena formed an unlikely bond, sharing late-night talks about loss and redemption. "You're reminding me why I started," Elena said. As momentum built, Evelyn led a march to City Hall, hundreds strong. Seniors in wheelchairs, families with children, and activists chanted, "Housing is a right." Police stood by warily, but the event remained peaceful, Evelyn's calm presence diffusing tension. Inside, she testified before the council, her story evoking sobs from audience members. Yet, personal trials persisted. Evelyn's health declined. A fall sent her to the hospital, where doctors diagnosed pneumonia. Lying in the sterile bed, she feared the end. Alex and Clara visited daily, reading supportive letters from strangers. One, from a young girl, read, "You're my hero, Grandma Evelyn. Don't give up." It reignited her fire. Recovering, Evelyn returned stronger. The group filed a class action lawsuit, using Alex's research to challenge the eviction laws. Public pressure mounted, with petitions reaching 50,000 signatures. Victor Lang attempted a buyout, offering Evelyn a settlement, but she refused. "Money can't buy justice," she said. Another twist unfolded when Harold, the veteran from the group, revealed a secret. He'd served with Thomas in the war. "Your husband saved my life," Harold shared emotionally. This connection deepened Evelyn's resolve, turning the movement into a family affair. Harold's testimony added military gravitas, swaying conservative council members. Rallies grew larger, drawing celebrities and influencers. Evelyn's image, stoic yet compassionate, became a symbol of resilience. She spoke at universities, inspiring youth to volunteer. Age doesn't diminish your voice, she'd say. It amplifies it with wisdom. As winter approached, the council scheduled a vote on reforming housing laws. Evelyn prepared tirelessly, practicing speeches despite fatigue. The night before, she dreamed of Thomas. "You've got this, Evie. Change the world." The hearing was electric. Protesters filled the chambers, Evelyn at the forefront. Council members debated heatedly, but Elena's eloquent plea tipped the scales. "Listen to Mrs. Harper," she urged. "She's not just fighting for herself, she's fighting for our souls as a city." In the end, the vote passed narrowly. New protections for seniors, caps on rent hikes, and mandatory appeals for evictions. Cheers erupted, Evelyn enveloped in hugs. But she knew this was just a step. True change required vigilance. Reflecting in her new home, Evelyn felt Thomas's presence. "We did it, love," she whispered. Yet, the journey wasn't over. More battles awaited. The law's passage marked a triumph, but Evelyn understood victory's fragility. Implementation dragged, with developers lobbying for delays. She formed a watchdog committee within Elders United, monitoring compliance. "We can't rest now," she told the group. "Justice isn't a one-time win. It's a lifelong commitment." Media spotlight faded, but Evelyn's influence endured. She received awards, including the city's humanitarian medal, presented by Mayor Torres. At the ceremony, Evelyn spoke humbly. "This isn't about me. It's about the power of one voice," sparking a chorus. The audience rose in ovation, tears flowing freely. Personal healing came slowly. Evelyn visited Thomas's grave, sharing the news. "Our fight lives on," she said, placing flowers. Clara became a close friend, their shared laughter easing loneliness. Alex, now a partner in a firm specializing in elder law, credited Evelyn for his path. A new challenge arose: copycat evictions in neighboring districts. Evelyn traveled despite her agito advise other groups, her story a blueprint for change. In one town, she met Sophia, a young widow facing similar plight. Mentoring Sophia, Evelyn saw her younger self, passing the torch. But a deeper twist emerged, shaking Evelyn to her core. Digging through old documents for a follow-up lawsuit, Alex discovered Evelyn's building had been illegally rezoned years ago, involving bribery. The culprit? Victor Lang's father, who'd known Thomas. This revelation humanized the enemy. Lang Jr. was perpetuating a legacy of greed. Confronting Lang in a mediated meeting, Evelyn chose compassion over anger. "Your father hurt many, including my husband, indirectly through stress," she said softly. "Break the cycle." Lang, stunned, broke down, admitting his regrets. He pledged funds to a housing fund, a redemptive act that amplified the movement's impact. Evelyn's health waned further. Doctors warned of heart issues. Yet, she persisted, authoring a memoir with Clara's help. Threads of Resilience detailed her life, weaving personal loss with societal battles. Royalties supported Elders United. Community events flourished, senior workshops on rights, intergenerational dialogues. Evelyn hosted teas where youth learned from elders, fostering empathy. "We're all connected," she'd say, her eyes twinkling. As spring bloomed, the city unveiled Harper Housing, affordable units for seniors, named in her honor. At the ribbon cutting, Evelyn cut the tape shakily, surrounded by friends. "This is for every widow, every forgotten soul," she declared, voice trembling with emotion. Reflecting on her journey, Evelyn marveled at the ripple effects. From evictions despair to legislative change, her defiance had transformed Eldridge. Laws now protected the vulnerable, councils included elder representatives, and awareness of ageism soared. Yet, humility grounded her. "I was just an old woman with nothing left to lose," she'd muse. "But love for Thomas, for justice gave me everything." In quieter moments, Evelyn pondered mortality. "When I'm gone, carry on," she told Alex and Clara. They promised, their bond unbreakable. The movement spread nationally, inspiring federal bills. Evelyn testified in Washington, her frail form belying inner strength. "Age is no barrier to change," she asserted, earning standing ovations. Back home, Evelyn enjoyed simple joys. knitting for grandchildren of friends, watching sunsets. Peace settled over her, a life well fought. As this chapter closed, Evelyn knew her legacy endured, a testament to human spirit's unyielding power. In her final years, Evelyn became a beacon, her story etched into Eldridge's fabric. The reformed laws saved countless homes, with evictions dropping 40%. Elders United grew into a nonprofit powerhouse, chapters nationwide. Evelyn, at 96, stepped back but remained advisor, her wisdom invaluable. Personal fulfillment deepened. Sophia, the young widow she'd mentored, led a successful campaign in her town, crediting Evelyn. They corresponded, sharing triumphs and tears. "You're my second chance," Sophia wrote. Health battles intensified. Evelyn underwent surgery for her heart. In recovery, visions of Thomas comforted her. "I'm proud, Evie." Emerging stronger, she advocated for elder health care, linking it to housing stability. A poignant twist arrived via a letter from Victor Lang's daughter, Mia. "Dad changed because of you," Mia wrote. "He's funding scholarships now." Mia visited, forging a friendship that bridged divides. Forgiveness heals, Evelyn taught her. Evelyn's memoir became a bestseller, adapted into a documentary. Screenings drew crowds, sparking discussions on aging and equity. Royalties built more housing, perpetuating her impact. Community honored her with a park bench overlooking the city, inscribed, "Evelyn Harper, Voice of the Voiceless." She sat there often, reflecting on life's twist from eviction to empowerment. As 98 approached, Evelyn sensed the end nearing. Surrounded by loved ones Alex, Clara, Elena, Harold, Sophia, Mia, she shared final words: "Live with heart. Fight for what's right. Love fiercely." Her passing was peaceful, in her sleep, Bible in hand. The city mourned, flags at half-mast. Funeral drew thousands, testimonials echoing her humanity. But death didn't end her story. Inspired by Evelyn, Mayor Torres pushed for Harper Act, national protections for seniors. It passed, her legacy immortalized. Years later, in Eldridge, children learned of the widow who changed laws. Statues rose, books written, her spirit alive in every just act. Evelyn Harper proved one person's courage could reshape society, a timeless lesson in resilience, compassion, and change.